Hey everybody, my name is Sven and today I would like to do some tactical exercises. I've recently watched some videos on calculation by GM Magesh Panchanathan, and it has really inspired me to do some exercises myself. And also I've realized that I have a long way to go to become anywhere near proficient in the area of calculation. So I wanted to do some calculation exercises, and what I will start with is some puzzle streak. This is a bit like Puzzle Rush Survival on chess.com, and the idea is basically it's a bit tougher also, because the idea is basically that you do exercises until you make a mistake, so they become increasingly more difficult. So this is good enough. I'm going to play it. And click here, and that should be the puzzle. Good. Now, what is this? Let's first check what the situation is. Okay, I think black is up many pawns here. So material-wise, in terms of pieces, it's completely equal, but white has 4 pawns, whereas black has 6 pawns. So we should find something good if we want to equalize at least. What I see here as an idea is bishop takes c8. That's one move. Let's see if I have other moves. I have queen f4. There's bishop f5. And I think, I could play queen g3 too. That's also an idea. So here, I think for the first time, we have multiple candidate moves. So now, maybe it makes sense to do this glance. So, the idea with bishop takes c8 is rook takes c8, queen takes h4, in which case we have somehow turned around the material balance, because now we have a piece for 2 pawns. What else? Queen g3, I think there's rook g... No. Yeah, there's a knight g6 actually. And it doesn't look very promising, but I need to calculate further. Remember, I'm just trying to figure out which move to calculate first. What else was there? There was queen f4. Again, I think there's just knight g6. It's almost proper calculation, but it's not very promising. So I think there was bishop f5, but we just take it with the knight. Even if we took with the bishop, it would be, but that's calculation. So first move to calculate here is bishop takes c8. That's the conclusion I arrived at. So which candidate moves does black have? Let's try to do this properly, really. So black could recapture the bishop with either rook. Black could play knight f3. So, which one? Are there any other checks or anything like that? There's rook g8. It's also a candidate move. So, which of these do I want to calculate first? Let's say knight f3, because it looks the most dangerous. So, knight f3, I think we just capture with our knight. And we're good, because if e takes f3, we retreat the bishop with check, and we're good. If rook takes bishop after this, we are up a knight. Where can we move our knight? We can move our knight to... actually we can move it back to d2 if we like. We might be attacked again by queen d5, queen d7, or one of the rooks coming to d8. But we could also move to h4, and this should be good enough. I mean, black can try to fight for the file, but it's never going to be enough, I think. Maybe we have to consider positional aspects here, because remember, we are down 2 pawns to begin with. So if we just win a minor piece, it's not overwhelming material advantage. But still I feel this is okay. So, yeah. So to me this means that, have we rejected now knight f3 after bishop takes c8? I think we have. I think we have. Okay, so what else? We had candidate moves. We don't need to do this again. So let's say we take with either of the rooks. I think there's always queen h4. So it's dangerous. It can be dangerous to put several moves into like one calculation, as I just did. Like rook takes c8. We don't care if it's the a rook or the e rook, because basically you have like this, I don't know, superposition. So from now on you have to always remember that in one of the sub lines that you're considering, the rooks are on a8 and c8, and in the other they are on c8 and e8. So yeah. But again, I think we can just capture on h4, and I see no threat. I mean, what can you do with black? You can move a rook to d8. I don't care which one. Even if you have a choice. In one of the cases you do have one, and in the other you don't. So it's still, superposition is getting more complicated. Yeah, okay, but still it should be good enough, I think. Also maybe we may be able to just capture on e4, and if there's f5, we have knight g5 and win the queen even. So we're good. Okay, so which candidate moves were there other than knight f3 or taking with the rook? So see, this is where short-term memory comes in, and I'm not always good at this. Actually, what about a move like queen d5? Like you're attacking the rook as well as the queen. Yeah, I think the bishop as well as the queen. I think we can take on f6 then. No, we cannot. We cannot. Oof. Because our queen hasn't captured yet on h4. Our queen hasn't captured yet. So, actually, what do we do? I think we just calmly play knight b3. No, we cannot, because now they can play knight f3. And we are kind of in trouble, aren't we? So let's say queen g2, knight takes g1. Knight takes g1, and there's queen h5 check. And I have to trade queens, and I'm down material. So this is like one of those things where I would discard something, but not actually look for where this line fails. It's maybe sometimes you have to. I mean, I'm talking, I don't know, how many minutes? 10 minutes already about this position, and you wouldn't have 10 minutes. But usually you're not talking out loud. So let's see, which line are we looking at? We're looking at bishop takes c8, queen d5, knight b3. Let's do this. And now this. This is what we're looking at. This is what we are looking at. I think this is just good for black. This is just good for black. So, yeah, I also like trust my calculation to an extent. So I feel like what would be justified? How far would I want to go back? How far would I want to go back? I see no good move after knight f3. So this means I discard knight b3 as a move. And now I see I think this is what I would have done anyways. So let's capture on a h4. Actually, capturing on a h4 maybe should have been the first candidate move here. Alright. Yeah, I guess you can capture on d2 or you can play, or you can play e3. So if you capture on d2, I think I can capture on f6. Yeah, no, I'm not going to capture on f6 if you capture on d2. If you capture on d2, I'm going to play bishop f5 check, king h8, and then I cannot take on h6, but I can take on f6, and that's mate. So this means there's also rook takes c8 here again. But if there's rook takes c8, now I can play knight b3. Yeah, this is looking good. This is looking great. So any other candidate moves? So now I just trust my calculation. I just trust my calculation. And this is telling me that... What is it telling me? This is telling me that for black, after bishop c8, queen d5, queen takes h4, both queen takes d2, or a rook captures on c8 are bad for black. So let's see, are there any other candidate moves that we missed? So maybe we should trust our calculation here as well and say, yeah, no, I checked for candidate moves first, but I think we could still look a bit, because queen d5 I feel is like the only candidate moves that we haven't discarded for black yet. So we can spend a bit more time looking at whether black has something better than taking one of the pieces directly. Yeah, I mean black could play e3 with a check. Yeah, black could do that. Black could do this. Let's say f3 now. And now, what is going on? There's e takes d2. There's queen takes d2. There is rook, one of the rooks taking on c8 in that position. So queen takes d2 can be discarded the most easily, because still the same thing is going to happen. It's a mate in 2. Only we can now also mate on h6 if we want, because there's a pawn on e3. So the next move we want to look at, I think, is e takes d2. I feel this is maybe the strongest try. And now we can take on... We can take on f6, which protects f3, by the way, and is threatening mate, and is threatening bishop f5. And then we are up a piece, because we have won the bishop and the knight. We captured the bishop and the knight on c8 and h4, and black has captured on d2. So if we save our bishop, we are up a piece for 2 pawns. And an advanced passport. Oh god, okay. But let's not become discouraged. Let's just carry on. So what can black do after queen takes f6 in that line? Yeah, black could play... No, it doesn't help. Rook g8, there is just bishop f5. And this is winning. What other candidate moves are there? Yeah, let's go like candidate moves. As painful as it may be, as difficult as it is. So let's say queen f7, we just take the queen. Let's say d8, d1 with new with queening, there is bishop f5 check. And yeah, this breaks down and we win the pawn. Nice. What else is there? So it concretely breaks down after bishop f5 check. Queen has to take. We take on f5 again with check, and now we just capture on d1. What else is there? Is there anything? I feel like there may be nothing. Maybe nothing here. Yeah, the queen cannot go back to d7 or b7 because of the bishop. It's difficult to prevent mate otherwise. Queen g5, we just captured, right? I mean, after capturing with the rook, there's rook e1 check, and now we should not capture. We should not capture this rook, but we should go back with rook g1, and we're good. Because now, if there's a trade of rooks, the pawn can never promote, and if the pawn promotes, well, we just take the new queen on d1. And our rooks protect each other through the enemy rook. So this is good. So, to me, this says that there is no... Wait. No. We are looking at the line from the start. Bishop takes c8. Queen d5. Queen takes h4. e2 check. f3. And we just considered e takes d2. Now actually we don't need to keep in mind all of the moves of this line. We need to keep in mind that in this line, after e takes d2, we determined that this was winning for white. So now we go to the move before e takes d2. We do not discard this whole line for black. We have to check the other candidate moves, which are only rook takes c8. And why are we doing this? This is also important to keep in the back of your mind. Why are we doing this? We are doing this because we have, after bishop takes c8, the candidate move queen d5. And this is the final candidate move that we have not discarded yet for black. And that's why we are spending some effort here, trying to figure if black has something. And we were looking at e3, which I think was the final candidate move for black after queen takes h4. So we do not need to, anyways, we are happy with that, but even if we were not necessarily happy with it, it would mean going back 2 steps instead of 1. So let's just quickly show which line we are talking about. Because I could completely understand if this was very confusing for you. Or for anybody watching, really. So now we looked at this and we determined it's good for white. And we determined candidate moves earlier. And if we just take here, I think this cannot possibly be good. Again, we can just capture on f6, and I don't think it changes that much. Let's say we capture on f6, we are threatening mate, and we are threatening bishop f5. So now there is rook c7 as an additional resource. So I did some shortcut now, because I basically said, okay, I've looked at this and it's similar, so I can discount many moves, like rook g8 now, for example, still doesn't work because of, actually, why didn't this work? Yeah, bishop f5, right. So this is actually kind of a dangerous thing to do, because you can rarely know 100% how much of a difference a small change can make. So whenever you take with you conclusion about certain moves, from one line to a separate line, there's always a certain danger involved. So probably I shouldn't be doing that. But yeah. Alright, let's do it properly. Oh man. So, candidate moves for black after queen takes f6. There's rook g8. There is rook c7. There is... No, we cannot ignore it. If we take on d2, it's mate. So let's only look at candidate moves that are made. That are geared towards preventing mate or doing something worse to me. I mean, there's queen takes f3, but let's ignore such moves. We just take it with the queen. Okay, rook g8. There's bishop f5. This is working. It's actually for the same reason as before. Rook c7, I think, is the most interesting try. But still, there is bishop f5. And that's fine. So, are we good? I think we are good. I think we can play this now. Did I miss anything? Probably. But that's life. So let's play. Alright. Oof. So that was a tough calculation. So now here I immediately see there's 96. But let's do it properly. And I think I'm going to take a break after this one, because this is really tough doing this properly. So let's say we have, let's count the pawns. Black is up a pawn. It's not a very good pawn. It's like, is this like a scotch opening or something? Okay, doesn't matter. So, if knight takes e6 works, we are winning. So it's the move to calculate. So knight takes e6. Okay, so bishop, it attacks the queen. So bishop takes e6, as bishop takes e5, we are up a piece. Bishop takes e3, we are up a queen for a piece after the knight is recaptured. Queen moves, we just take on c5. If we have nothing better, we take on c5 and we're good. Any checks, captures, threats, mates that we haven't considered? No, we can just play this. Maybe I was being impatient from the one before, but I think it's fine.